So, as you can see from the title of this video, we're going to be talking about heartbreaks and how to cure them, how to heal from them. I think a heartbreak is probably one of the most painful things that a human being can experience and can go through. Whether it be a heartbreak from a divorce, a failed relationship, a shidduch not working out the way it was supposed to work out, or just even if you got to know somebody and became vulnerable with them and it didn't work out in your favor. It happened to me many times where I got my heart broken when I went through a certain situation and it didn't end up in my favor. And it hurts, it's hard, it really breaks a person's heart. But it's important to remember that God will ultimately break your heart to save your soul. Now what does that mean? When you get spiritual about things and when you start to connect it to spirituality, it doesn't really help. It doesn't really make you feel better. So let me try to break it down into more understanding and relatable terms. When God breaks your heart, it means that you're probably not in the right situation. It means that you weren't in the right situation. Now your heart is broken. You died. Now what does it mean that God broke your heart? It means that God is ultimately running the show from behind the scenes. It means that God can see you and he can see your spouse or your previous spouse and he can say, hey, something's going on behind closed doors that this other person doesn't know. What it means ultimately is that you can do better and you deserve better. If you're watching this video, it probably means that you want more for yourself and you want to learn how to heal in order to attract the next one, in order to move on to the next one. So it's just important to know that you just died if you're going through a heartbreak. It feels like death. It feels like you're dying. And the beauty of it is that after you die, you get a chance to be reborn. In a couple months or years from now, when you heal, this will just be a story to tell to people. This will just be a negative experience that you had to go through in order to attract the right and the next one. I don't really think there's a specific cure, because you can always dig into your consciousness and you can bring out that very painful feeling. Now, is that a cure in itself? Now, if you can just go into your head and bring out a negative experience, then does that mean that you can ever be cured? I think in order to cure the heartbreak, you need to change the perspective. Us calling it a negative experience already shows us that we think it was a negative experience. This traumatic experience or negative experience can easily be flipped to a positive. It can easily be flipped to a lesson learned. I was with an abusive person, so I got myself out of this situation. Now in my next relationship, I'll be able to see and detect those negative traits, and I'll be able to pull myself back before things get too serious. I got cheated on. Now I know not to look for this. Everything that you go through is ultimately a lesson, and it's building and molding you to become stronger. Heartbreak is not easy, but it's not the end. There's too much potential and too much that you can do in your life and so much waiting for you. The salvation is there. It's waiting for you. The scary part is that the moment that a person gives up on himself, the world will give up on him. God will love you and believe in you and want you to do it, but you ultimately have to pick yourself up. Get out of the bed. Get out of the habits of binging. Get out of the escaping and go into a state of, I'm gonna grow now. I went through this, but it doesn't define me. It's actually molding me. The highest level is to say, God, give me more. Give me more pain. Give me more struggle. Because God is doing what's best for you. And I know that people don't like it when you make things spiritual, but that's just the truth of the matter, of the topic of the situation. God is running the show. God loves you, you're his son or daughter, and he wants to mold you and to perfect you. How is he going to do that? By throwing obstacles your way, by making you go through things. And a heartbreak just sucks. And while I can sit here and focus on what that person did to you and bring it out and really empathize and show compassion, I don't see it conducive to growth to do that, because I don't want to focus on the past. I don't want to think about what's going to happen tomorrow. My objective with this video is to get you to focus on the present moment right now, because focusing on the present moment will lead to optimal growth. Erasing what happened is not easy. It's easier said than done, but there's ways to cope with it, and there's ways to move on and to become a healthier version of yourself. You can start with taking notes, writing down your feelings. Every time you feel like you want to go back to this person, to write it down. Because in that moment when you want to talk to that past partner, it's just heavy ride of emotions that need to be processed, and you can process them yourself by writing them on a piece of paper. That will help you to become more independent, and it'll help you to become more emotionally mature and intelligent, and to know how to navigate things on your own without this person. And chances are, if you're always going to this person, then that was just probably a codependent situation. Besides writing them down, you can go out with your friends. I once heard on a podcast that, a guy broke up with his girlfriend and he went out to a bar, and in that moment, like with the boys, he was happy, and in that moment he knew that things were going to be okay. What does that show you? It shows you that he was rubbing off the consciousness and the vibrations of his boys. And the more that you surround yourself with love in the time that you're broken and healing, it'll help you to remind yourself that, hey, this is not the end. The more time you spend home alone, dreading it and thinking about it and going back to old pictures and this will just bring you back to that situation. Delete the pictures, delete her number, delete her or his number, block it if it's possible, and just erase it because it's over. God recreates the world every single day. There's no reason why you should wake up in the morning and go back to what happened yesterday. It's a breakup, it's over, it's finalized. Now it's time to move on and to meet that right person for you. There's a reason why the situation didn't work out. Obviously, if that person really wanted you in their life, they would make it clear, or they would try to work it out, or maybe this person is just unhealthy and needs time on their own before you two meet each other again. But one thing I know for sure is that now, if you have a broken heart, you definitely need space. You need to pull yourself back from the situation, recollect, refocus, and go back into it. Go back into focusing on your goals, your passions, your ambitions, your work life, your college life, your family life, your social life. Just be more in your own life. Whether the person gives that love that he was giving to his partner back to himself, that's how he or she is gonna reinstill that love that they once had for themselves, or maybe even never had for themselves. Being alone is great. Being alone is the best time that a person can construct a new game plan and construct a new plan of action in order to go for success in the future. And that's ultimately the advice. I hope this video helped. I hope it made you feel a little bit better. If you have any comments or questions, you can leave them down below and I'll get back to you. What I really want to tell you is that I know you're hurting. I know that your heart is broken and shattered and you feel like death. But one thing that I can tell you is that I went through it and I overcame it many times. And I'm not comparing. I know that pain cannot be measured. But what I am telling you is that there's hope for you. It's not over. And this is not the end. There's a lot coming, and like I said, one day you're gonna look back at all this time period and you're gonna be thankful for it, and it's gonna teach you a lot of lessons. And when you meet that right person, things are gonna fall into play and it's all gonna make a whole lot of sense. Just take all the fear and the pressure and the pain in a way, and just try to take faith and trust in God in the form of a bandage and to cover it with that to stop the bleeding. And God willing, you will become a better version of yourself. Learning Torah is probably the most therapeutic thing that was ever invented in the world, because we're in the Shema Torah, we're a divine holy soul, and learning God's book, God's creation, is the best way to heal yourself. Because ultimately, like your body wants to drink and to eat, your soul wants to learn Torah and it wants to connect to its creator. So the more that you feed your soul, you're going to notice that you're going to want to go less after physical and materialism, because internally you're content and you're happy. Thank you so much for listening. Drop a subscribe, like the video, share it so others can get some inspiration. And like I said, leave some comments down below if you have any questions. Have an amazing day, and you're going to get through this.